Welcome to Grit Happens. I'm Mindy Stearns. To know him is to love him. He's a CEO, a father, an entrepreneur, a businessman, an outlier, overcomer, an underdog. I'm talking about my husband. That's right, Glenn Stearns. And this is Grit Happens.
Hey!
We have a good crowd in here tonight.
It's
Really good
fast.
crowd.
Kind of like it when you slow it down.
You like to slow the roll?
The build up. I like the build up.
Okay.
I'm all about the build up.
You don't like it when I slow play, though.
No, I don't like when you slow play. I like. I
You
don't
like me to
mind
read
being
it slow.
teased a little.
Okay. Maybe I should do that. Just slow it down like I do at home.
Not that slow, dear. Trust me. That is not going to happen. This show will fail miserably if you slow it down that much.
I promise I won't.
No one can put up with what I put up at home. It's just not fair to do that to our listeners.
Okay, well, we'll move it right along then. I'm really excited about today's guest.
So am I.
You know, we talk about a lot of exciting things about grit. You know, this podcast started after Glenn had finished the Undercover Billionaire on the Discovery Network. Season 1 is now on Discovery Plus. You can download and binge.
So season 2.
And season 2, which is happening right now, and the spinoff, which is Undercover Billionaire Comeback City, starring you, going into 6 businesses in Erie, Pennsylvania, to help them pivot and turn their business around in 27 days.
Who's starring in that one?
Just some guy I know. Little gritty man, I know. Oh, did I say little? Sorry.
Let's get to our guest. This is rude.
No.
If you want to go there,
this
is rude.
Great.
Don't make an ass of yourself, folks. For those who've been listening, you know what I mean.
He's horrible, and I love him. And but this podcast was, we had so much fun kind of digging into the stories of people that have lived the American dream, who had, because that's what the show was all about, was it still alive? And you prove that it is. And these stories are so inspiring, and we get into the grit of the stories of the people behind the American dream. So today I would like to introduce a guest who has made an incredible splash. Now, she comes from an immigrant family, and the story is the American dream embodied in such an incredible way. And you may be familiar with probably one of the most recognized climate positive companies in the world. They are the first company in the world to achieve the trifecta of sustainable manufacturing, carbon neutrality, and water neutrality, and true platinum zero waste certification. Now, who can say this?
Who could say that?
I would like to introduce you to an amazing woman. She's a graduate of UCLA, Chapman University Argyros School of Business. She has been featured on CNN, ABC News, Fox News, NBC, Bloomberg, MarketWatch, LA Times, Orange County Register. She's got many awards for sustainable leadership, including Conscious Company's World-Changing Woman in Conscious Business Award and Global Green's Corporate Environment Leadership Award.
Wow.
Oh my gosh, it goes. I am like, we're not worthy. Now she makes her debut on Grit Happens.
That's
Will
right.
you please welcome the amazing Kelly Vlahakis-Hanks.
Hey,
Please welcome to the
Kelly.
city.
How you doing?
Mindy, that was a beautiful introduction. Thank you so much for having me, Mindy.
Could have taken the whole show to introduce you. You're just that amazing. Thanks for joining us.
Don't forget that she's also featured as one of the greatest places to work in Orange County. Thank you.
One of the greatest places to work.
That's where a little other company.
We just received the prestigious
Aren't we in the same
greatest
room here?
Kind Lending is one of the greatest businesses
there we are.
to work in Orange County.
Absolutely.
Congratulations, guys.
Symbiotic.
That's wonderful.
Yes. So we know each other through the YPO, organization, which has been such a big part of our lives. And, you get into the, get to mingle and have support from other like-minded entrepreneurs and business men and women. And it is such an honor to have you with us today. It's so nice that this fierce, powerful woman is making such an impact on our community. But can we start at the beginning? Because really the story starts there. It's your family, your father. There's a great story about him.
There's a great movie, The Green Story.
A Green Story. Is it A Green or The Green Story?
A Green Story.
A
Green
Green
Story. That's right.
And it's really the life story of how Ecos came to be.
That's
so
right.
why don't you tell us
A
about
Green
that?
Story was such a fun project because it came out here in Hollywood in 2012. And I never imagined in a million years that cleaning products in Hollywood collide.
I know.
You know, I just, and I'll never forget when they cast Shannon Elizabeth to play me.
Hello.
And I had not at that time seen American Pie. And so I went out and
Saved by the Bell.
rented it. I saw it. I thought, oh my gosh, that's Kelly Vlahakis. I look so good on screen.
She's an amazing. I know her through my work at KTLA.
It was just so quite fun to see my father's life story really shared in such a beautiful way. And as you both know so well, film is such a great medium to really get a story out, and especially the importance of going green and the importance of going green now.
Mm-hmm.
And he certainly was so passionate during his lifetime about it. He was originally born in 1935 on the island of Crete in Greece. He comes from an area there called Chania in the village of Kalibis. And when he was 5 years old, of course, you know, World War II broke out. And so he grew up during Nazi-occupied Greece, and such a very difficult time. You know, you mentioned YPO, and I'm leading a group of CEOs back to Greece in 2022, and we'll retrace, you know, kind of his childhood and what it was like growing up there. He lost his father in the concentration camps. And I think that a lot of people don't realize that Greeks and others that stood up to Hitler's forces were really hurt. And his father was put in the camps, and his father was only 42, my grandfather, when he passed away in the camps. And my father lived through that time. After World War II, of course, was the Civil War in Greece. And, you know, he had seen so much strife and so much struggle. And when he was 18 years old, in Greece, it's mandatory that you serve in the military. And he really didn't want to endure any more loss of life.
I'm sure.
So he hit on a ship and literally came to the United
States
with $22 in his pocket.
Wow.
And did not speak the English language. And, you know, when he originally got to New York, he had one brother who had gone to Chicago. And that brother had written to him and said, come to America. I'll meet you in New York. But when he got to New York,
he didn't think he was serious. He didn't think he would really come. He wasn't. I mean, they depict that in the movie a little bit.
Right.
That's right.
You can't stay here.
So his brother at the time was having some of his own challenges and didn't expect that my father, Ephthios, would actually come. And so my father waited for 3 days there in New York with his Nea Halas suitcase, which means New Greek, and no one came. And luckily, there was another Greek who saw him there who ended up buying a train ticket for him to get to Chicago, to finally get to his brother's home. And as you saw in the movie, he wasn't welcome to stay there. So then he had to go live in homeless shelters until he could really figure out what his next plan was.
It is an incredible story because America really was founded on that drive and that vision and that wanting and achieving the opportunity to do whatever you wanted with hard work. And we're a member of the Horatio Alger Association, and that organization really celebrates that work ethic of really pulling up the grittiness of it, and to whom much is, the more you put in, the more you get out, and you can rise here. You have great opportunity in America.
Yes.
You know, it's interesting if you travel the world and you get to see a lot of the world that is not as welcoming as the United States is. And so, when we hear about some of the issues that that are going around, it feels like, wow, I wish people could be more educated on what's really out there. Because your dad coming, and what a great example of saying, I'm not going to let anything get in my way. And
that's right.
When you look at how the movie portrays him, I mean, he had, integrity, right? It was all about, I'm not going to make this crap. I wanted.
That's right, Glenn.
And so you look at those things, and he was given that bonus and that 6 months to get out of. They were going to let him go because he wouldn't bend his rules, and he said, "I don't want your money."
That's right.
And that is so hard to find nowadays, is people that will stand up for what they believe in and not bend. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of people that obviously have integrity. That's what, we hope most of the world's made of. But it is very difficult to stand on your word and stand your ground when you have to feed your family. And he still stuck it through and said, I'm going to still do what I believe in. And obviously, from what it looks like, he lived a wonderful life. I'm sure at the end he was real proud of what he did.
That's absolutely right, and the courage of his convictions, because when he decided that he wanted to start our company in 1967, you can imagine people were not talking about greening their cleaning. They were not talking about these things. But, after coming to the U.S., in those initial years, he had become a busboy and worked in restaurants, and then went on to Roosevelt University to study chemistry because of the Greek root words. And so he could really understand it. And so he studies chemistry. And when he gets out of college, he gets these jobs and he's working with very dangerous chemicals. And he's just so surprised, that we're using such toxic chemicals in our homes and workplaces and in the environments that we inhabit. And he's thinking back to his childhood in Greece and how his mother utilized lemon and vinegar and all of these natural things. And he was wondering why we were doing it. At the time, he was working on things with DDT, which, obviously Rachel Carson came out with her pivotal work, Silent Spring, to expose the dangers of DDT. And so you're right, 1967, he takes that 6-month severance, walks out and starts the company in his garage because he's not going to make any more toxic cleaning products. And he wants to do things differently. And he doesn't believe that this is the future that we should be going to, that we should protect human health and we should protect planetary health. And really, the courage of his convictions that inspired him in those early days, just amazing. And he risked everything to really build what we have today, which is Ecos. And now we're the #1 selling green laundry detergent in the U.S. And it all began back in his garage in 67.
I just think that, he was a smart man too. And he obviously had some smart children. I would love to, you said you have an interesting story about going to work in a family-owned business. That's always an interesting transition because it's a challenge sometimes with families.
I had always said I would never work with my wife. I knew
eat your words
that was not the right environment for us. It was not eco-friendly. Okay, let's put it that way.
It was not ego-friendly.
Yeah, that either. And and then I saw where she shines, and I thought, you know what, you have to come in here and be our chief kindness officer. And she is flourished, and our company has too. So what is it like having a family-owned business? As we in YPO, we know there's a lot of family-owned businesses, but how has it been for you?
Yeah, I think that family-owned businesses, absolutely, Glenn, can be very tricky. I feel so very fortunate that I had such a visionary father who was so forward thinking. So in my particular story, a little different than some of the family businesses. So my father, as you saw in A Green Story, probably, he was married with 2 kids. Mm-hmm. And my father, as you also saw in the film, really enjoyed different women.
He was a ladies' man.
He
told
had that
Mindy,
sparkle in his eye. Oh, those
sure
Greek boys,
did.
though, they're so handsome.
Yes.
Charming.
And so his first 2 kids from his first marriage are about 20 years older than I am. And I was a product of his relationship with my mom. I had a wonderful, wonderful mother. My mother's African American, my father Greek, so it's really wonderful to have that diversity. But it certainly was a little different than growing up, in kind of an intact, cohesive family. I grew up with my mother in Illinois in a small town of 3,000 people, and very, very different. I'll never forget coming to UCLA, a school with 42,000 students.
I know, wow.
It was quite a difference. And growing up with my mom, I certainly, like I said, had a wonderful mom. She's another person who, when you think of resilience, my mom grew up in the foster care system, 14 different foster homes, and yet she's such a beautiful example of someone who saw everything that she didn't want for her child and just raised me with so much love and so much beauty. I couldn't have been just luckier. And I'm just so sorry I've lost both of my parents. My mother I lost many years ago to cancer. But my childhood, I grew up in a small town, like I said, with her. And, also my stepfather was a carpenter and in and out of work in those years. And so I certainly did not grow up with money. And I certainly, in many ways, feel like that really served me greatly. I didn't grow up with an expectation that I would be in the family business per se, because certainly during those early years, there was a lot of challenges between the family. My father ultimately got divorced, but that was after I was born. And so it was a challenging kind of period with the adults, and certainly that makes it stressful oftentimes on the children.
Well, I can imagine, and there are a lot of families. I was gonna say that's a lot of families are blended and broken, and there's a lot more now, and so that's a common thread, I think, in a lot of situations. We see more and more, but great things can come from that.
Absolutely.
So continue.
And but the beauty I think that it gave me, honestly, and was that I just knew always from a young child I should work hard. My mother always said to at that time not join the family business, which it's funny how things have turned out. But I just always worked really hard, worked hard in school, got a full ride to UCLA, and got accepted here. And like I said, I grew up in Illinois. My father lived here in California. He moved here in 1977, and I enjoyed a beautiful relationship with him always. Visited him on holidays and various times, and felt very lucky. But when I got to UCLA, got their Regent Scholarship, graduated, and spent 5 years working for other companies. And in 2003, my father asked me to join the family business.
Wow.
And he had asked me previously on a few occasions, and I had not agreed to at that time. But in 2003, it was a little different. At the time, the majority of the business was a private label business, and he had lost his largest account. At the time that I joined, we were in an 8,000 square foot facility in Huntington Beach. Now this facility is 125,000 square feet that I fit in, and we have 4 more across the nation in Illinois, Washington, New Jersey. So it was a much smaller business when I joined him in 2003.
Wow.
But I realized early on that, at that point, I felt like I could really add value. We had, I could write press releases and create attention around the beautiful products that he had, and really help him build a brand, which is something that, really hadn't been done, and really secure placements in some of the conventional retailers. At that time, we were in some of the natural markets and co-ops, and really go after business in accounts like Walmart and Costco and Target. And so it was really great to join him. And my elder siblings, they both worked in the family business for large parts of their lives, but they both ended up, leaving the business at different points. And I really just feel so honored to be able to take the business into the future. Losing him in 2014 was also very difficult when you have the founder and the visionary. But that mission is something that was so inspirational to me. And so in 2014, when he passed away, oftentimes as in family businesses, my father and I did a lot of the work. We didn't have a team in place per se to scale for growth. And so after he passed away, I brought on a COO, a CFO, a VP of marketing, a VP of sales. None of those functions were in place.
So tell me about that for a second. So here's your dad, who seemed like a very, I wouldn't say controlling. That might be the wrong word, but seemed, everything stopped with him.
He held on tight to the reins of how it was going to be run. He knew.
Yeah, and I think it's so common in founders. It's very difficult for them to give kind of decision-making authority to others.
That's right. So now you get the reins, and now your father has passed. Was there a time of shock and holy crap, what am I going to do with this company? Or did you go, I know what I want to do. Like, let's run with it.
Well, Glenn, I'll tell you, I mean, so after I moved to California and I had the chance to work with him those 11 years, and I ended up living very close to him in Orange County, and just you're overcome with so much grief. So in one moment, you have the grief of the loss of, he was like my father, my life partner, we were so connected, and so although he was 79, he was like 29.
Oh.
I certainly did not see it coming that we would lose him. He was very involved in the family business. He and I had just that Thursday been together in New York. I had left him, talked to him multiple times Friday and Saturday. And so when he suffered a massive heart attack Saturday night, it was a complete shock. And I think one of the most difficult things is, when you have the juxtaposition of the grief and the loss alongside of the responsibility. And so that Sunday that I flew to Florida and I landed there was one of the most heartbreaking moments of my life, for sure. And I'll never forget, one of my general managers in one of our facilities reached out and he said, should we stop shipping? Should we close the plants on Monday? And I said, absolutely not. The biggest disservice I would do to his memory is not getting product out the door tomorrow.
He was very passionate about getting it in people's homes. He wanted people to have healthy products. He just desired, that was such a driving force for him.
Absolutely. And so, it was, I would say, it was a very difficult time, just, having to go through a difficult grieving process. But at the same time, I felt very passionate about continuing his legacy and his mission, and protecting people on the planet is also my life purpose. And so when you have a purpose-driven company and you have that kind of higher power that you operate to and that you love, you really just get to work. And so very difficult time, obviously, that transition time. And certainly when a new leader comes in, I wanted to scale the company for growth. It's just amazing because as you probably know, just even in the last 5 years, consumers have more access to information than ever before. They're on their, they're on their cell phones, they're Googling it, they're looking up things, they want to protect their families, and they're trying to figure out how cleaning products fit into their wellness routines. And people now understand that so many toxic ingredients in cleaning products are definitively connected to cancer and asthma and nerve and organ damage. And so we had this unique opportunity to really scale for growth. And so certainly, I spent the large part of 2015 really putting that plan into action.
How large were you in 2015?
So in 2015, we had 4 facilities.
That was the 50 years, wasn't it?
Facilities.
No, wait.
So here in California, I had a 40,000 square foot facility. I've now tripled that in size. Our business has almost gone up about 60% since he passed away. So we've grown a lot.
Oh,
and
he'd be
although
proud.
I don't disclose the figures because we're privately held, there's been significant, double-digit growth
That's
every
great.
year.
You see, a lot of times what you find, and since I know that we have a history through YPO, but for those, again, a lot of times there's people out there and they're trying to go, what can I do? How do I scale? What do I do? And a lot of times we have people that go, if I just had the reins, boy, would I take this thing. It's so easy. Why is he so hard-headed and he doesn't listen? And then they get the reins and they screw it up. Like terrible, right? So it's, and so then there's a lot that you learn that you didn't know, that what this other person was doing.
And Glenn, it can never be underestimated the difference between being number 2 and number 1, right? So there are so many things on the shoulders of the person at the top of an organization that I think the person in second command might not ever realize or really appreciate deeply. And certainly, it was a very challenging time.
So my hat's off to you.
I had in mind a lot of things I wanted to accomplish, but it was hard. And, a lot of it revolves around wanting to build a team. I understood that without a team, at that point, if there was an HR issue on line 3, I was handling it, right? And that wasn't the best use of time. So, finding the right people, the people that you could really trust, that you could empower, that you could delegate these tasks to, so that you could really grow. And it took me about 2 or 3 years to really assemble the team. And I can only tell you, I mean, outside of my father passing away, certainly leading our company, a cleaning products company, which is the number one weapon in the war on COVID, I was so proud of the team that I had in place in 2020 because we were able to do so much because the right people were at the helm.
Wow. You know, I think that's great. And I think, again, it's important to know when you're, you know, either in over your head or to cry for help or whatever. And in your case, being able to take over those reins and then realize I need to surround myself with people. You don't want to be answering, you know, the help desk and running the company. And so, but a lot of people don't, you know, when you're a founder and, you know, you hold on so tight, sometimes you don't understand that. And then again,
Absolutely.
sometimes it can run amok, right? It's just, but what there is and what you've done and what I think is important is you have surrounded yourself not only inside, but outside. Like that's what YPO is all about. The Young Presidents Organization is other presidents. What are you thinking? How are you getting through this issue? What are you going to do next? You know, I'm here. I got, you know, a problem with my inventory. I'm going to sell a company, buy a company. I'm going through, you know, so it's a support group because they say it's lonely at the top. Well, here's a bunch of other people at the top so we can all huddle together and say, you know, hear me out.
You're absolutely right, Glenn. You know, YPO is the thing that I never realized I needed so much. It's funny because I actually didn't know about YPO. And so when Michael Wong had reached out to me, in the initial time, and I joke with him now, I hadn't returned his phone calls. And so Goran, who's head of UCI CEO Roundtable, said, hey,
I know Goran.
Take this call from this guy, Michael. And I met with him and Lindsay, and what a great opportunity to join YPO. You know, it was to be surrounded by other CEOs who you're all really pulling for one another, and nobody has an agenda. Nobody, you know, oftentimes when you're in the top position and you're seeking counsel, lawyers have a stake in it, employees have a stake in it, you know, different people, family members have a stake in it, but you have a group of CEOs who just really want the best for you and your business. It's a beautiful thing to
that's
have.
That's a great plug for YPO because Glenn was the same as you. He didn't want to be in it, and it took him a while in the beginning because he didn't realize the value of what it would be.
But I will tell you one thing. I will not to give myself any credit, but here goes.
But he's going to be prepared. Big pat on the back coming.
Big pat on my own back. But so I was the chairman of YPO. And
education.
No, I was the education chair, but I was also the chairman.
Okay,
dear, I'm sorry. Please do not give me. Do not take.
I'm sorry. I need to pat myself on the back because he wouldn't be in YPO if it wasn't for me.
Okay, but
let's
just start there.
But do not demote me. I was the chairman.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Oh, he also goes by doctor. He
I am
has
a
an
doctor
honorary
too.
doctorate.
Let's not talk about that.
I don't want to digress.
No, let's not digress. But so. In my year, I had everybody come out to our ranch, and I said, "Hey, so I have an idea." And they said, "What's that?" I said, "We talk about diversity. We want to be more diverse." They go, "Yeah, we like it. You know, we've got a guy from India, and we've got a guy from Mexico." And I said, "Love it. How about women?" "Oh no, we can't do that. Women."
They tell all their secrets. It's scary to talk to women.
Our wives won't approve of that. So you go back and ask these people, the old timers, okay? So I said, so let me get it straight. You want diversity? Yes. Maybe we'll get another Indian, or maybe we'll get another Mexican guy.
Please. Or a Greek. Or an African-American Greek.
But no women?
An African-American and Greek woman.
That's right.
They're all boxes are checked.
So I said, so you're telling me we're a diverse organization, but no women? Well, no, we're not saying. I go, no. You are saying that. You just voted. You don't want the women. Well, you know, we think it'd be hard. I said, okay, so I just want to make sure. I'm designing the sweatshirt. YPO, we are diverse, no women allowed. I just want to make sure that's how it reads. Okay. So I said, I think we should maybe figure this out. So I spent the weekend. I mean, it was like me against the whole team almost at the time. And I don't say that. I shouldn't say that. A bunch of these guys will get mad at me. There was a lot of people that were for it. But point being, it was tough. But
well, I think just to support that point, I think, as you know, in the organization, you have these intimate forums where you really dig deep into lives and personal things.
And that's what it was about.
Very confidential, and to be that vulnerable in front of another woman, it's just the whole DNA of male female. I think they were just resisting.
And I was getting to that point, which is, I said, listen, I've done a lot of work out in Europe and in Asia with YPO, and the most amazing advice, a lot has come from the women. I said, they are very inclusive. They have men, women, it didn't matter. And I said, but our group seems to be this stuck up group that is we're too afraid. And I said, let's break outside of our comfort zone, because you'd be amazed at the advice you get from having a much different perspective. And they said, all right, let's try it. Now, how many women are in the chapter?
There's 6 of us
6.
now.
There you go.
So
Progress.
That's great. And with a focus on obviously expanding that further, and you're absolutely right. When you look at YPO globally, I mean, look at YPO in Turkey, 35% of the membership is women, and yet here in the United States, it remains at 10%. And so the U.S. really has to focus on attracting and retaining more women in YPO. And it's clear, I mean, diverse teams win, right? I mean, I see this in my own organization. If you look at my C-suite, 50% is men, 50% is women. And I remember, I was at a trade show in Greece, which, can sometimes be a little bit of a patriarchal society. And there was a press release written about the fact that, I had a real focus on having diverse leadership and 50% women. And this reporter asked me, so Kelly Vlahakis, I heard you're building an organization to get rid of men.
What?
And I said,
that's how they took it?
I'm building a company that's reflective of the consumers we serve. So in order to properly serve my consumer base, I need men, women, I need different ethnicities, I need people of different backgrounds all at the table, because otherwise we can truly never succeed in the fashion we want to. And I think, when I joined YPO, there's organizations that are just for female CEOs, right? And people have asked me, why not go there? Well, that doesn't represent my everyday work life, right? And so every day I'm working around a lot of men. And so it's very valuable to me to have their inputs and their thoughts as well. And so as we navigate these terrains, having more diverse voices at the table will always make us better leaders. It'll make us stronger. It'll make us more successful. I think it'll give us, YPO's focus is obviously in our professional lives, but even in our personal lives, having that kind of balanced perspective. So maybe there's someone else in the room to say, but hey, have you thought of it in this way? And that's something that I really have enjoyed. And, when I actually went to that latest YPO event about, attracting, recruiting, retaining women, they looked at Orange County and they looked at our chapter, and we certainly have the highest number of women in our chapter. So thank you, Glenn.
Thanks, Glenn.
Hey, there you go. All right.
The team back then that really started championing that change, because when you look at the Orange County chapters, we're leading the pack. But obviously, we still know that we have a ways to go. And but we've got some amazing women in our chapter. I mean, we've got Laura Schwab, who's first female president ever of Aston Martin North America, and just went on to Milan. And we've got Clara Pay and Nicole, and I mean, all the women that are in our
Lindsay
chapter.
Uberoth.
Incredible women.
I've got Liz Williams in forum with me, who was president of Taco Bell and who's now gone on to be president of Dry Bar. So
great.
You are in very good company.
But I
very
think
good
that
company.
That having, again, to our listeners, having your own support group, having people, and it doesn't have to be YPO, because YPO is a pretty high bar to get into. As far as if you're a business, you have to have so much network, revenue, and there's so many employees. But there's a lot of other people that can get it. If you're just starting, there are groups like EO, right, Entrepreneurs Organization. There's other groups out there that you can get into, but get around other like-minded people so it can push you up and it can get you to make sure you understand your environment. Because when you become comfortable, when you become someone that wants to just stay doing what you're doing, you will never grow. You obviously got yourself very uncomfortable. Here, your life partner, your father, the patriarch is gone, and now you go, oh crap, here I go, and you figured it out. But I guarantee you didn't do it on your own. You know, I mean, we do it by having strong people around us.
For sure. And, you know, the value of team and camaraderie and, you know, in life, it's so important who you surround yourself with, and surrounding yourself by people that you look up to, people that inspire you, people that, you know, really motivate you to work harder and to work smarter.
So speaking of that, how about a person that you look up to, that you admire, that happens to be Greek, and it happens to be a big reason? How did you know George Argyros very well?
So it's, you know, I was honored alongside of George Argyros, which was so exciting for me, when Chapman University did their very first Chapman Alumni Business Award. And so they honored George and I together that evening. And it just
couple of Greeks. That's beautiful.
So for those that don't,
I first met him. Honestly, I first met him back when I was 18 years old, and I was working with an organization as a volunteer called the American Hellenic Council. And so he was very involved in the Greek community. And of course, I graduated from the Aieros School of Business at Chapman. So
she even says it Greek, Argyros.
I know. And the Hellenic Council.
Hellenic, that's the Greek system.
I have to always remind myself Argyros, not Aieros.
Aieros.
George was my biggest mentor in my life. Dear friend, still is, you know. I mean, he's obviously very sick with Alzheimer's. But Julia, Steph, Lisa, dear friends of ours.
That kind of points to the idea that you early on found people that you admired, and you found a way to connect, and then they did become mentors, and mentors are so important in success. I think that's something we continue to.
And George, like your father, started out with nothing. And he came to this country. Well, he was
box
here.
Boy.
He was a box boy, and he worked his way up and became, you know, the owner of the Seattle Mariners, the owner of Cal Airlines. He's helped Chapman University so much with, you know, every building almost is named after him and his family. Yes. And they are an amazing family of givers and very philanthropic. And we went to the American Hellenic group when he was awarded the whatever, I can't remember, but we were his guests there. And so we've done a lot of Greek things with George.
Oh, and the Greek food is some of the best. I just had to bring food into this because you know,
food is wonderful.
So you know, what is Ecos doing now? I know that you had a big boom with this COVID world, because everyone's going to natural, everyone's in their houses. They don't want to have cleaning products that are lingering, that are not. So what ways have you guys pivoted in this world? I'm curious.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, I can tell you, I'll never forget March 16th, right? I mean, had there not been a global pandemic, I would have been celebrating the orders coming in. And so, you know, the whole world shut down and we had to rev up. We couldn't close for a day. During the pandemic, I added a second shift. I added a third shift. Wow. We onboarded numerous new team members. And really, you know, I said to my teams at that time, you know, what is patriotism? It's rising up when your country needs you the most. And when I think about my teams in March and April, I really feel like it was the highest level of patriotism. I mean, They showed up here with me each and every day. And that really comes from the culture that I think we have here at Ecos, which is, you know, really an extended family. So it's not just, you know, the family here, but it's everyone. And so, during those days, we certainly added a lot of SKUs to our portfolio. So Ecos, our laundry detergent, is our #1 seller. But we make, you know, dishwashing products and all-purpose cleaners. And at the time, we added disinfectants and hand sanitizers. And we have about 200 different products under our Ecos portfolio. I also do a lot of manufacturing for a lot of private label customers. And so it's been a busy time, but, you know, it's so important as we really, really focus on human health and protecting ourselves inside our homes, where we spend so much of our time, that we think about the products we're bringing into our homes. And unlike, you know, food, where you've got the FDA and other people policing what's in these things,
isn't so much.
Cleaning products is completely unregulated.
Wow. That's amazing. And how many things are so harmful, which your dad knew early on and was very aware as a chemist. He knew these products were very harmful.
That's right. He sure did. And you imagine you're washing your plates and your glasses, right? And then you put your food on your plates. You put your water in your glass. And these products have skulls and crossbones and say, do not ingest. Yet every day,
Yet clean your
water
dishes.
out of the glass.
Oh, no, no.
And so when you think about your health, right, I think a lot of people think about organic food. They think about, but they don't think about the fact that these products are leaching into our water. You're drinking it. You're eating your food off of it. You know, your clothes, your skin is the largest organ in your body. And if you're washing your laundry with things like formaldehyde and all these carcinogenic substances, it's entering your skin quicker than what you put into your mouth. So cleaning should not mean spreading toxins around your home. And I think that unfortunately for so long, that's what we've been trained to do. People smell bleach and they go, oh, it's clean. I smell bleach. Or they, you know, and I really want to work so hard to train people that kill claims on products means that it's also killing the good bacteria as well.
Yeah.
So, you know, when you think about antibiotics, you don't want to take them every day because we now understand that we've got all this good bacteria, yet people are using kill claims like water. And so I really want to say to people, like, we've got to be more thoughtful about cleaning products. It's not just what we put in us and on us, but it's what's around us that affects our health.
Wow.
And that part of the equation is so important.
You're gonna go out and buy some more detergent. We're gonna
damn right.
More ego.
Kelly's got
More
some
egos.
passion.
You are the best salesperson for your product.
I'm just gonna go home and throw out everything
yes,
that we have.
No more of that stuff.
And literally, you know, household poisonings, right? I mean, what's under the kitchen sink is one of the leading causes. I sat in literally on these poison control calls as parents are frantically calling it, my kid ingested this. And even cleaning products don't even require the labeling of ingredients. So let's say you can put anything in it. California is the first state as of this year to require that you actually list those ingredients so that the consumer can at least look at it and make a decision. And that's, you know, I've really fought hard for the Ingredient Transparency Act to just require the disclosure of ingredients so people have the ability to make an informed choice. Because in the end of the day, these synthetic dyes and synthetic fragrances and all of these harmful preservatives, they're just not necessary, especially as green science has come so far. And you can now have the same efficacy that you have with conventional cleaners and also at a more affordable price point. I mean, one of the things that my father was passionate about early on was that everyone has the right to a healthy home, that green products should not be a luxury item. And so, you know, when you buy our Ecos brand, oftentimes we're the opening price points. And that's why we've been so successful with partners like Walmart, like Sam's Club. You know, you certainly can buy us in Whole Foods and Sprouts and all of those markets, Ralph's, but you can get us everywhere. And we always want to make sure that people can afford to have a safer choice in their home.
Apple
do you have
doesn't fall far from the tree.
No, that's do you have an online prescription subscription program too?
Do you have a prescription
subscription? So on ecos.com, you know, we partner with a lot of retailers like Amazon, like Jet, like Vitacost, where you can get our products. We're currently not doing the subscription model direct to consumers,
right? But we can find you other ways. Oh, I'll bet. You know, I'm just to read as before we wrap up here. You guys have saved 56 million pounds of carbon dioxide, have restored over 10 million gallons of water annually to critically dewatered rivers and wetlands in the U.S. You divert over 95% of your waste from landfills and incineration through a comprehensive program of reducing, reusing, recycling, and rethinking traditional manufacturing processes. You are setting the bar so high, every company should look to you for conscious consumption and creating products. I think that's just hats off to you. Hats off to you.
Mindy, one of my things is I really want to champion change in business. That I want us to look at business and understand you can be good stewards of the environment and still have a profitable business.
I love it.
You know, it was difficult to achieve carbon neutrality and water neutrality and zero waste, but imagine now I get all my energy from the limitless power of the sun. So there was that upfront investment, but now I have free energy.
Wow. Right.
Or, you know, reducing our waste. I mean, these were all ways in which we could, over time, be additive to our bottom line. So I think so often the conversation is about those initial upfront costs, But one of the things that's great about, leading a business is that I don't have to be driven by short-term capitalism. I can actually think of the long term and really make decisions for our business that really pay off for all stakeholders. And I really hope other businesses can just understand that there doesn't have to be a trade-off between the two. We can do both.
Well, I have to say, I think Etichio, is that how your dad's name was?
Etichios.
Come on now.
Vlahakis would be so proud. He would be so proud of you. 54 years in business. This company has numerous awards. You even have your own Instagram, Ecos Cleans on Instagram, and of course on your website. We appreciate you taking the time today, Kelly Vlahakis. Vlahakis? Did I say it right?
Vlahakis, which means
Vlahakis. Kelly Vlahakis-Hanks.
Mindy and Glenn, thank you so much for having me, and just thank you for all that you both do to really raise awareness about what it takes to be successful in business, and for inspiring so many people to realize that
Kelly,
no matter what your circumstances are, you can always build the life.
Happy to showcase you. You are an amazing woman, and you're behind a great company. So we're very excited, and thank you for being here and being able to share some of your story. Inspire other people to go out there and maybe even work with their family members. Who knows?
It can happen, and it does. It can happen. So, again, thank you again for joining us. Today has been another installation of Grit Happens, and we can be followed. You can catch us on Instagram, Grit Happens, on Facebook, Grit Happens, and we're every Thursday at 2 p.m. Pacific. We'll see you on the internet.
That's right.
Join us again for another episode of, say it with me.
Let's say it.
Grit Happens.
Hey. Take care. Thanks, Kelly.
And Ecos can clean that grit.